Are you an entrepreneur or a business owner, an inventor sitting on your next big idea right now? Stay with me because this video could save you thousands of dollars and months, maybe even years of wasted effort. Here's the counterintuitive part. Even after 20 years of developing products and 17 grand in patents, I still fall in love with my own ideas. That never goes away. What changes is whether you let that feeling drive you straight into building mode or whether you slow down first. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to start so that the market doesn't force you to start over. Here's what happens to almost everyone with a new idea. You sketch it out, dreaming about the possibilities. You get a new pep in your step. You can't sleep at night because you're imagining where this thing could go. And then, this is the dangerous part. Many of us dive straight into building mode. We start developing. I do it myself. We spend months, sometimes years, pouring time and money into the real thing only to find out later that nobody actually really wanted what we built. Maybe the price is wrong or something. We'll figure it out. Think about Shark Tank for a second. You've seen this. Someone walks in the stage and the sharks start asking questions. And it comes out that this person or this whole family, they've got a second mortgage on their home. They've drained 401k and all their savings. They've borrowed money from friends and family, and they spent a decade in this idea. And the reality is, over that whole decade, they've only got $50 or maybe $100,000 of sales. They think the sharks will change the game. See, the thing is, sharks don't invest in those companies, but the ones that they do invest in, this is where someone put in $10,000 or $20,000, maybe even $100,000, and that person is already generating $500,000 or $1 million in sales within a relatively minimal effort and short period of time. That's a completely different story. So what's the difference? It's not how hard they worked, it's where they spent their time and money first. That difference is exactly why I built the innovation journey, a simple 4-phase framework for taking an idea from, I think this could work, to the market actually needs this. People will pay for it. The 4 phases are discover, define, develop, deliver. And here's the rule that matters most. You go through them in order every time. If you skip ahead, the market will force you to go back. And I've seen this happen, and honestly, I've lived it as well. Say you jump into building, you build a prototype, you go through the same development, you take it out to the market to test it, and you find out that the price point is wrong, or there's a feature that your customer actually needed that you didn't build. Now what? Now you go back to redo the manufacturing or redo the design, rebuild. You just paid for that lesson in time and money, a lesson that you could have learned from almost up front, and you learned it much earlier. And that's why this whole framework is really about de-risking step by step as you go closer to actually delivering your product or service to the marketplace. Today, I want to focus on the first phase. This is discover, because it's the most essential. It's the starting point. Everything downstream depends on getting this one phase right. I'll cover define, develop, deliver in a future video, so if you're interested, stick around for those. So in discover, this is where the market and customer insights really matter the most. You may have heard the term voice of customer thrown around. That's the formal tactical name for it. Really, it just means customer insights. You go out and actually talk to people who might buy what you're building. To answer that question, who my customer is, we need to go back a step to something called value chain analysis. Here's what that means in plain terms. Think about your laptop. There's little tiny screws that hold it together, and somebody had to buy the raw metal to make those screws. Then someone had to machine that metal into a screw, and then someone had to warehouse those screws, and then someone had to ship them to the company that was doing the laptop assembly. And somewhere along that whole journey, an engineer had to specify exactly what screw they needed for that laptop. And that's the value chain. A company sells to another company, which sells to another company, all the way down, and every link that there's value created. So here's why this matters for you. Once you map out who sells to whom, you can ask the question that actually matters. Where do I fit into this value chain? Where do I participate? And here's the part that most people miss. Anyone along that chain can reject your idea or accept it. It's not just your end customer. It could be a competitor. It could be a supplier who looks at you and thinks, wait, this person is actually a threat to me. You need to understand that whole landscape before you go further. So once you've mapped that out, you can start to define who your customers actually are, and your customers' customers, and their customers, and so on down the line. And sometimes these can come in tangentially. Now I know that some of you are thinking, I don't want to talk about my idea. I want to keep close to the chest, write it down in a notebook, keep it a secret. I get it. But there's one thing that you can still go out and probe the market, ask real questions without handing over every detail of your idea. I understand you may want to patent it. So that's the second phase of Discover is go out and get customer insights. So now you know you fit the value chain, get customer insights. This means mapping out two things. First, what customers say they need when you ask them direct, or whether it's in a survey or conversation. And second, what you observe they actually need, because sometimes people don't articulate it, but you can see it if you're paying attention. Surveys can help you collect both, but I do recommend actually speaking with people. By the way, if you want to go deeper into this, I've got a link in the description below. The full innovation journeys there, the framework laid out, plus a checklist so you can decide is your idea a good idea or not, and it helps you think through some of the critical questions before you proceed forward. So go ahead and grab it. I think it'll help you. So once you've gathered customer insights, you're ready to move to the next phase, define. This is where you take everything the customers told you and everything that you observed, and then you turn it into actual product requirements. Some of those requirements are critical, and if you get them wrong, people simply won't buy. And others are nice to haves, and underneath all of it is one question that really matters more than any other. Will people actually pay for this? Because when someone is willing to exchange real dollars for what you're offering, that's when you know you have a real value or real product there. I won't go deep on any of these today, but let me paint a picture so you understand, you can see the whole picture of this journey. So after define comes develop. This is honestly the fun phase, but it's also the hardest. This is where you're actually building your idea out completely. You might have built rough prototypes before in the earlier stages to prove something was technically feasible, but develop is where you bring your product to life. The design, the engineering, the manufacturing, you figure out how you're actually going to market and sell this product. It's an uphill climb, but every step is where you bring it closer to delivering to the marketplace. And then once that you've reached that peak over the technical work, and once the technical work and the marketing prep are in place, you move into deliver. This is the push in the market. The technical team hands it off to marketing and sales, supply chain, manufacturing ramps up. Everyone's fixing last minute issues, getting ready to launch. It's exciting and it can be stressful, but now you're putting it out there and waiting to see if the market will accept it. All right, so let me get personal for a minute because I want to show you what this looks like when you actually live in it. A while back, I had an idea. I was genuinely passionate about it. It was in the food space, right? Think like grills, smokers, outdoor pizza ovens. I wanted to take it to the marketplace. So I made a smart move and I sat down with a local entrepreneur who had actually launched products before, and he did something valuable. He helped me detach my own idea from my emotions and asked me honestly, is this actually a good idea? So here's the advice that he gave me and I want to relay to you. He said, go to friends or family and ask them to connect you with people who are emotionally disconnected from you. They don't know you, but they might be your ideal customer. And so what he did, he said, send out the survey. So I did. I went to Google, I built a free survey, wrote up a short message, and then I sent this to my friends and family with the concept idea. There was price points and information for these people to say, I know what the product is, I know maybe what a price point might be, the features, and I simply asked, is there traction or is this niche? So here's a key thing, I want you to hear this. He says, detach yourself from an idea, but now you need to set your benchmark before the results come in. Because if the survey comes back and says only 10% of the people want this, are you going to push forward or not? You need to decide that before you see the numbers. Or are you talking yourself into whatever idea because you want certain outcome? So I set my benchmarks ahead of time. For certain attributes, I said 25% of people need to respond positively. For others, it was 50%. I wrote these numbers down before a single survey came back. And when the results came in, what I learned was that yes, there is a market there, but it's niche. And to reach that niche, I was going to have to spend a lot on advertising just to find the right people. And that meant high customer acquisition cost, and that cost was going to either push up my price or eat into my profit margins. And I'd already had a rough idea of what it would cost to manufacture and sell this. And the surveys gave me an idea of where my ceiling was on price. And when I put those numbers together, the cost to acquire customers versus the margin I'd have left, I realized this was an uphill climb. Not impossible, but not something that I should pursue right now. Tough decision because there's an emotional piece, but I detached myself. And looking back, there's more I could have done. I could have run a focus group maybe. I didn't reach out to the right demographic potentially with my survey. I could go deeper with running a demo, building some prototype and then demoing that with potential customers to get more feedback. And that's actually a really important point because a telltale sign of a strong idea, if you show someone a prototype, something brand new that they've never seen before, and they reach for their wallet and they ask, when can I buy this? If people don't know that they want something until they actually see it, but then when they do see it, they suddenly get excited and then they ask, when can I pay for this? When can I get it? You've probably got a hot idea on your hands. So one more thing people worry about patents, right? A lot of folks hold back from talking about their idea because they're worried about protecting it. But here's the reality. You can talk about your concept to get real with customer insights and still protect the core of what makes it patentable. You don't have to hand over the crown jewels, right, to get useful feedback. What you can't skip is getting that insight in the first place because it tells you whether you're even on the right path. Now, I want to zoom out for a second because I don't want you to think that this is just a small business problem. In the industry, big companies fail at product innovation all the time. Every company I've worked with has what I call a graveyard of failed projects. And the reasons vary. Sometimes someone had a big budget and they funded a passion project, or the market didn't want it. Sometimes a company was pushing an early stage innovation and the market wasn't ready yet, or the technical complexity was just too high. Frankly, most startups fail too. This is hard for everyone at every size, but here's the key takeaway. The power is at the front end in Discover. If you can clearly say that here's the problem, is exactly how I'm solving it, and you can distill that down to something simple, that's where the leverage is. It's not about having a marginally better product. It's about deeply, keenly understanding the market dynamics and how you're actually meeting real need. So let's bring this together. When you're in the discover phase, there are really three things to check. Is the market and the competition? Is this a problem worth solving? Do you understand the market, the whole space? Do you understand specifically the problem that you're trying to solve? So then the next bit is that, is it technically feasible? Can you actually build what you're imagining? Is it more complicated than you think? Do you and your team have the skill sets to pull it off? The third part is the economics. Do the numbers actually work? What's the pricing? What does your cash flow look like? Do you need to carry a large inventory to sustain the business? Like you see all the time in the food and beverage, where retailers can send product back to you and then you're stuck issuing credits. That alone can make or break a business model. So 3 checks. Is it worth it? Can you build it? And do the economics hold up? Run your idea through these 3 before you build. So here's the bottom line. Falling in love with your idea isn't the problem. I still do it every time, and I've got 17 patents and 2 decades in this industry. The problem is letting your feelings skip you past to discover and straight into building. So if you've got an idea right now, here's your action for today. Don't open your CAD software. Don't call a manufacturer. Map out your value chain first and figure out who you'd actually need to talk to and get honest feedback. By the way, if this video was helpful to you, hit like and subscribe. I'll be covering define, develop, deliver in upcoming videos. And generally, I'd love to hear from you, and drop a comment below. Tell me where you are on your innovation journey or what's tripped you up in the past. I read everyone. It helps me decide what to cover next. Thank you for listening and watching.